Hey there, I'm Frank Mitchell. On this channel, it's all about helping you understand your car and keeping it running the way it should. Whether it's routine maintenance or solving those tricky problems, I've got you covered. If you find this useful, give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to watch till the end. You might learn something that saves you time and money. All right, let's get started.
The Ford Focus Sportbreak is one of the best family SUVs in terms of value for money and drivability. The Ford Kuga is the SUV that was born to offer a fashionable vehicle, so much so that it has been postulated as one of the references. Two very different cars can sometimes compete for a sale even at the same dealership. Exterior dimensions. We are faced with two vehicles that coincide in presenting a similar length, close to 4.6 to 4.7 meters, and a body with 5 doors. The first is a car with a Ranchera-type silhouette, the other an SUV inspired by the image of classic SUVs. The Ford Focus Sportbreak measures 4.69 meters long, 1.83 wide and 1.47 high. The wheelbase is 2.70 m. The Ford Kuga 4.61 by 1.88 by 1.66 and a wheelbase of 2.71 meters. Taking as a reference the 150 horsepower EcoBoost 1.5 petrol engine variant available for each of these models, the estate car weighs 1,445 kilograms while the SUV weighs 1,564 kilograms. To support these weights, these cars are fitted with a tire and wheel set measuring 205/60/16 for the former and 225/60/18 for the latter. Interior dimensions and roominess. Both vehicles are sold as 5-seater passenger cars. Despite being vehicles of the same brand, their strong structural character clearly differentiates the onboard sensations. While the Focus Sportbreak is shown as a dynamic family and even fun to drive, especially in its configuration as ST, the Kuga is an SUV that responds to a requirement that is none other than to drive in an elevated position, close to that which would be enjoyed in a minivan but under the guise of a vehicle with a mountainous cut. Ford Focus Sportbreak. Compare prices in terms of comfort, given the structural difference, the driving and co-driving position in the Focus Estate is very comfortable. The benches have considerable space to rest the weight and the backrest feels comfortable, especially on long journeys. The view from the SUV is very high, even more than these cars usually offer, in fact thanks to the high position of the front seats and the inclination of the hood, allow a wide horizon. The rear seats of the Focus Sportbreak are really spacious, benefiting from the shooting brake body that promotes free space for the occupants of the rear row. They are also much more comfortable when the center seat is occupied than, for example, in the Ford Focus 5-door. Ford Focus Sportbreak. In the Kuga, travelers sitting in the rear row enjoy a perspective as high as those enjoyed by those in front, with the added bonus of enjoying more space by equipping a bench with longitudinal displacement. In terms of design and finishes, the Kuga is 1 point ahead of the Focus. It also has to justify a higher price, at equal versions and equipment, which suffers any model of SUV cut compared to other bodywork other than the fashionable trunk. The space for cargo in the Focus Ranchera covers up to a maximum of 608 liters and 1,653 if the rear seats are folded back. The trunk of the Kuga SUV has a maximum of 645 liters and a minimum of 475, depending on the displacement of the rear row, and can even be reduced to 411 in the case of hybrid variants, and 1,523 with the rear seats deployed. The trunk of the Estate can accommodate several generously sized packages. In fact, it is one of the largest in its class. On the other hand, when the rear seats or the hybrid versions of the SUV are deployed, the trunk volume is reduced, leaving a space that would accommodate, at most, a suitcase of moderate dimensions. Engines. Starting from a Comet architecture and technology, these cars offer the following mechanical configurations. Ford Focus Sportbreak versions: 125 horsepower EcoBoost 1.0 MHEV gasoline, ECO label. 125 horsepower EcoBoost 1.0 MHEV gasoline, see label Gasolina EcoBoost 1.5 to 150 CV, etiqueta see Gasolina EcoBoost 1.5 MHEV to 155 CV, etiqueta ECO 184 horsepower EcoBoost 1.5 petrol, see label 280 horsepower EcoBoost 2.3 gasoline, label C diesel EcoBlue 1.5 120 HP 1.5 EcoBlue, label C EcoBlue 2.0 150 horsepower diesel, label C 190 horsepower EcoBlue 2.0 diesel, see label Ford Kuga versions. 120 horsepower EcoBoost 1.5 petrol, label C Gasolina EcoBoost 1.5 to 150 CV, etiqueta C diesel EcoBlue 1.5 120 horsepower 1.5 EcoBlue. Label C 190 horsepower EcoBlue 2.0 diesel, see label 150 horsepower EcoBlue 2.0 MHEV diesel, ECO label 2.5 Duratec 190 horsepower hybrid. ECO label 2.5 Duratec 224 horsepower plug-in hybrid, ECO label fuel consumption and fuel tanks. In this comparison of the Focus Sportbreak and Kuga, fuel consumption is lowest in the Ford Kuga PHEV plug-in hybrid variant with a consumption of 1.4 L/100 km. As for traditional engines, Focus Ranchera more efficient is the diesel 1.5 EcoBlue 120 horsepower with an expenditure of 4.3 L/100 km. The same engine in the Kuga is the most economical but with an increase to 4.7 liters of diesel consumed per 100 kilometers traveled. The EcoBoost gasoline engines, thanks to the light hybrid equipment, show very acceptable fuel consumption, as is the case of the Ford Estate with the 1.0 MHEV, which consumes 5.1 L/100. On the other hand, pure hybrids, such as the 1.5 EcoBoost, offer a very acceptable fuel consumption of 6.6 L/100 km. Battery and range. The hybrid equipment of the Ford Kuga PHEV is equipped with a battery of 14 kW net capacity, 10.6 useful, whose recharge times are estimated at 6 hours connected to a point of 2.3 kilowatts and 3.3 in case of doing so in one of 3.7. Ford Kuga PHEV. Compare prices based on the accumulated electric energy. The range in electric mode of the Kuga PHEV is 56 kilometers. As a zero-emission vehicle. Prices. Thanks to the CarWow comparator, you can configure your Ford Focus Sportbreak from €25,655 and enjoy an average saving of more than €5,000. It is also possible to configure your Ford Kuga from €27,323 with an average saving also above €6,000. In addition, some versions such as the Ford Kuga plug-in hybrid can benefit from the subsidies and discounts of the Moves 3 plan. Conclusion. As we indicated at the beginning, these are two cars that share genetics, which makes them coincide in certain points but are irremediably differentiated by others, which makes them very different cars but, at the same time, intrinsically opposed to each other to get one more sale. The buyer may tip the scales by satisfying a fashionable trend or by filling a need from a dying one. The budget can also be decisive in terms of the different mechanical configurations and, therefore, the different environmental labels that each model sports. In conclusion, both the Ford Focus Sportbreak and the Ford Kuga offer unique advantages tailored to different needs. The Focus Sportbreak excels in agility and fuel efficiency, making it an ideal choice for those who prioritize a dynamic driving experience and practicality for everyday use. On the other hand, the Kuga stands out with its spacious interior and robust performance, appealing to families and adventure seekers alike. Ultimately, your choice will depend on your lifestyle and preferences. Consider what features matter most to you, and you'll find the perfect fit between these two impressive vehicles. Thank you for watching, and we hope this comparison has helped you make an informed decision.